going on, everybody? Chris Classic dropping a car vlog. Hope you guys and gals are having a good day. If nobody tells you that God loves you, Christ loves you, and I love you as well. I'm praying that you people have a great day. It is snowing in the Midwest. Well, it's done snowing, but it's a lot of snow. So if you are in the Midwest like me, please drive safely. Please make sure you walk safely because falling on this ice is just crazy thing. It's just crazy. So make sure you subscribe to the Take No Podcast where I talk about professional wrestling topics and I put in my matches as Classic Alpha professional wrestler of 13 years. Make sure you also subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. That is me and my wife's professional wrestling company. We have all of our matches lined from the previous years and stuff like that, and our final show of the year was Fright Night in October. So make sure you look at the show, make sure you look at the matches and everything, make sure you look at the old stuff too. February 21st 2026 will be our first show of 2026. It's Big Business, BIG Business, so make sure you get your tickets. It's in Dyer, Indiana, Harold's private venue. Make sure you get your tickets on Eventbrite. They're $5 off and they'll be $5 more at the door. There's also rumblings of a new confirmation of a show, almost 100%. So when everything is in concrete, I'll let you guys know. God bless you, Raphael. What's going on? We here. I'm gonna say AEW's too sucks. So we are gonna talk about AEW. We talk about a lot of wrestling: WWE, AEW, C3 Ultimate Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, and I know that TNA just signed a deal basically with AMC to have a televised show there. So shout out to them. They've been doing it. They've been trying to get one for the longest. So shout out to them for getting it. I wish nothing but the best for them. That's for another video. But we're here to talk about AEW. Now, does AEW, being who they are, do they do anything better than WWE? I know that a lot of people talk about a lot of the stuff, me included, about what does WWE do better than AEW, and a lot of people found a lot of things, but we're here to talk about what does AEW do better than WWE. So we're going to talk about that. You guys are more than welcome to put your comments. I'm going to agree, I'm going to disagree, but what are they going to do? Oh, he said I'm going to say Raw sucked. Oh, okay. I heard good things about Raw. Like I said, I haven't really cared to just watch something consistently, and I thought about watching Raw last night, but I was like, no, I just wanted to spending time with family. But still, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, has been around 6 years. Lafayette in the building. What's up going on, Robert Brown? Rent Syndicate in the building. We block people. So, what does AEW do better than WWE? They're both wrestling companies. They're both on TV weekly. They're both funded by a lot of money. What do they do better? I'm so done with Raw. I mean, with WWE, it's like I said, to me, it's like you get what you get. And I think that I say that with both companies. Not really shocked with certain things. I've heard backlashes about Survivor Series. I don't think I'm even going to watch War Games. I'm just not interested in it. I don't know. I'm just not into looking at it. I think the biggest thing that people have talked about from War Games was obviously Io jumping off the top like she usually do, and the people's reaction to the finish, and Jey Uso running it back on top of the cage. Like, some people like it, they enjoyed it, and some people are like, oh my gosh, you're killing wrestling by doing this in the middle of a War Games match. They shouldn't do War Games matches anymore, personally, but I'm just saying. That's some of the biggest takeaways from it. Not that Cena lost, not that Liv Morgan returned, but that's some of the biggest takeaways from to Survivor Series War Games. They never showed the man in a black suit. They're going to milk that forever. They should have revealed him yesterday, but they're going to milk it until probably 2026. I don't even know if people are going to care at this point. If it's Austin, good for Austin, because Austin didn't do nothing but be one of Vince McMahon's favorite wrestlers, and they punished him. So if this is him coming back with a big bang, by all means, let's do it. But still, AEW, in my opinion, does do some things better than WWE, or they give better things to some of the wrestlers. So we're going to talk about it. I do think that if you do work very, very hard in AEW, I think that most likely you're going to get a championship. You may not have that championship for a long time, but I do think that they will give you a belt. I think Dustin Reynolds, formerly known as Goldust, or Dustin Rhodes, whatever he calls himself, in AEW. I know he's basically worked very, very hard. At one point, He had like the tag belts, the 6-man tag belts, and he had like 3 belts at one time, I believe. So it's just like, to me, I do think that, like, obviously if you work very hard there, I think it's easier for you to get a sign of appreciation through a belt. Now, I can't say that everybody gets that kind of nod in WWE. You may get a pay increase or whatever like that, and sometimes they may let you go. So, AEW has let go people and people have left, but still, I do think that, like, you're more likely to get a belt for your hard work in AEW. It's not. It doesn't feel like hey, we're this company, do as we say, compared to WWE with that kind of climate. I do feel like if you are a hometown hero and you are going against a champion, you may win that belt in your hometown. For some reason, WWE had a thing for like years where you would lose a belt or you would lose your match in your hometown. And I don't know why they would do that kind of thing, but that was like a big thing. So it was just like almost every time somebody went against somebody in their hometown, they would lose. I know they don't do it as much as they used to, but they still kind of do it. Better storylines, more character focus, moves better, allowed to be risky, more focus on the women's roster. Okay, so I will say as far as certain things as opportunities, I do think they give people opportunities, and I do think it's an oversaturation with certain things because of the other companies and shows that they have along AEW. I feel like it's easier to honestly be shown gratitude, which always is a great thing as far as anywhere that you work. Better storylines. I can only say so much. Like, I don't want to just be like, oh well, they just suck. I only watched a little bit, and even WWE with certain things. I know that Samoa Joe beating Adam Page, that kind of woke people up, because a lot of people are going to assume that Adam Page is going to have a long championship run and stuff like that. One of the last things I was really interested in, I was kind of interested and kind of not interested, was MJF with the Hurt Syndicate. Only because I didn't feel that MJF needed to be a part of the Hurt Syndicate, but honestly, it was some good TV for what it was. I like stuff with Swerve. Whatever Swerve and Hangman is doing and stuff like that, I am somewhat interested in that kind of stuff. The Death Rider story wasn't so much. Darby Allin, like, if there's other stuff, I know a lot of people get upset with like Mercedes and stuff like that with the belts and stuff, because that's dang near a story in itself. But I know, like, with the women's, to your point about the women's wrestling, they do get more opportunities and stuff. Like, I know that they were celebrating the blood and guts match, the women's one. I don't really care for that kind of stuff, especially with women, but still, I do know that they celebrated that. I know a lot of women, Sky Blue was Sky Red, and a lot of women was bleeding, and it was just like, hey, we did it because women can do it, and that's fine. That's fine, but still, I do think they have better opportunities for sure when it comes to that. I also feel like, whoa, there's a lot of comments that came in. Salute. This isn't salute, brother. Salute, Sim. They never risky, more focus on the women's wrestling. I believe it's to the end, please. I love John Moxley. Yeah, some people love John Moxley. Moxley is like the heart and soul of AEW. I really like a lot of some of the stuff with his story. I do think he's the heart and soul. Also, I'm going to speak about that too, even going into the storylines. I do feel like a lot of the wrestlers have more of a say-so with certain things with their stories, like creative and character-wise. I think if somebody wants to turn around and change their character, I don't think that, like, Tony would be like, no, we need you to be this, we need you to be that. We've seen a lot of stuff. Julia Hart, she was like a cheerleader at one point, right? And then she turned into what she is, like, especially like with the when they had the House of Black, and now she's like doing her own thing with Sky Blue and Thekla or whatever like that. Even Sky Blue, how she used to look and stuff like that with the little girl stuff, and now with the darkness stuff and all of that. I do think that, like, if somebody wants to change their character, I think that Tony will probably be like, yeah, go ahead and do it. Chris Statlander, she acted like she was an alien for a bit, and then she changed it to like the more than a woman thing and all of that. And honestly, I think that a lot of people take her more seriously as what she is now, and I think it really works for her for sure. I think that what she does, it really works out for her. So I do think that, like, WWE at one point they'll tell somebody, hey, stay like this, don't move like that, we're making money like this, so we just want you to stay like this. And I think with AEW, a lot of people have an opportunity to change certain things that they want to do, or they feel like they could probably just do the character that they want to be. I mean, let's be honest, the Hurt Syndicate is just the Hurt business, in AEW, honestly, except they don't have Cedric. That's like the only thing. So still, I don't think that they should really change much of it. If anything, I would put Bobby, heck, even Shelton in the main event scene or whatever like that. But that's just me. I think they are above. I don't want to say they're above the tag team titles, but I think that, like, okay, that was just something to give a championship belt to Bobby, because Bobby never been a tag team champion. So they gave him and Shelton the belts because of that. That goes into working hard or feeling like you earned or you deserve something. That goes into the category of AEW. I just wish Christian would successfully cash in when he had the contract. Yeah, I mean, you should want whatever you cash in to be like a successful cash in rate. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, thanks for waiting on me. I had to talk to my wife. But yeah, I think AEW does certain things that make people feel good and try to make the fans feel good or whatever like that. Like I said, I watch the clips from AEW from time to time. I don't see any comments, so if I don't see any comments, please forgive me, because I did go live. I mean, I did go offline, so I don't know if it's trying to reconnect with that. Let me see. Hold on. But yeah, sorry about that. If I don't see your comments, please forgive me, because I did go live. I don't know. My phone is so jacked up. But hold on. Reconnected for another time. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the comments, but still, I do feel like AEW does give like people opportunities, especially like the younger people. Once again, if I don't see your comments, please forgive me. I had to take care of some business on the phone, but I do feel like the younger people do get opportunities compared to like some of the older people. I do think that obviously WWE does a thing where the older people, the veterans, the vendors, they get all the opportunities, they get more shots, because they're the ones that make them a lot of money, and I feel like they don't really take chances with certain people. I think with young people, I don't think that like anything that AEW does with new wrestlers is going to jump the ratings, unfortunately, but at the same time, I do think that they give them opportunities. We've seen some of the greatest wrestlers go against the young people. We've seen Bryan Danielson go against Lee Moriarty. We've seen CM Punk versus Ricky Starks and stuff like that. And sometimes that's just something WWE doesn't want to like do as far as a story, because Ricky Starks and CM Punk was a story. Ricky Starks, and I know he's in WWE now, but and Bryan Danielson, that was like a story. Sometimes WWE is like, nah, we have our core main, and we're gonna lead with that. We're gonna stay with that. You get what I'm saying? So that's very interesting when it comes to that kind of situation. Like I said, it does seem like they have more creative, I don't want to say creative control, because I feel like everybody has like overused that word, like creative control, and don't even know what it means. I just think that people just overuse it so much. It's oversaturated. That word is so oversaturated. So, but still, going into it, AEW, I think that it's still fresh for most people. To me, I think I've seen all I've seen with it, but some people still believe in it, and they still think that it can overcome a whole bunch of trials and tribulations. And I hope so, because like I said, there's nothing wrong with having two main companies in America. Like, that's opportunities for people, that's cash flow for people, that's setting up people in future stars and stuff like that. So still, I understand that kind of stuff. Like I said, feeling like your hard work will probably pay off more in AEW. I mean, obviously, some people reach the mountaintop in WWE, and that's a big thing. But I feel like in AEW, I think that people can say that. I do think that, obviously, honestly, we've seen it with people that's not even signed by WWE, where they can voice their opinion. I mean, not AEW, We've seen people in AEW don't even work for AEW can voice their opinion about certain matches and stuff like that, and then they can just walk away scotch-free. Now, I don't know if they're going to be booked there anymore, but still, you know, there's people that get fired for saying no, and it seems like AEW will let you say no. Heck, at one point, this is a joke, but I'm dead serious at the same time. You could literally just say, hey, I want to fight you when I see you, and then people say, pull up. Like, I'm talking about, like, the Andrade and Sammy Guevara situation. The fact that these two people was like, oh, I can't wait to see you Wednesday, and stuff like that, and then Tony didn't even see the fact that, like, they were talking about fighting, not talking about talking, that you could just pull up. Like, a lot of people would love to fight some of their co-workers. Like I said, I'm serious and I'm funny at the same time, man. You know, it's too many incidents where people gotten physical, and honestly, as a promoter myself, not saying I'm perfect, but there's just some things that certain things shouldn't happen. You know, you should try to diffuse certain stuff or whatever like that. You just should. You know, if you see people yelling at each other and cursing at each other, try to stop the fight as much as you can. Try to stop the conflict or whatever like that. But we've seen stuff. We've seen people. It seems like people aren't monitored on posting, so they have freedom to post anything, regardless if it's political or not political, or even if they don't like certain people and certain wrestlers. They have like some kind of freedom for it. I mean, like, even look at what Ricochet just be saying anything. And look at it, we got a national belt. We got the belt from AEW, another belt that they have. You know, I also feel like it's easier for you to be a champion in AEW because they have so many belts. And I'm including the ROH belts because some of those ROH belts be defended on AEW television. It is what it is. So I feel like even that, like, you have a better opportunity to be a champion on AEW. AEW, from what I heard, from what I see, it doesn't seem like they have a wellness policy. So you can do a whole bunch of stuff if you want to. WWE has a wellness policy. You can't take certain things, you can't do certain things and stuff like that. Also, I'm hearing nothing but good things of Tony helping people with surgeries and certain situations and paying people, even if they have a maternity leave and stuff. I've heard stuff about WWE and stuff like that too, but still, most people are like very, very vocal on the situation. I hate to say it, but I feel like even at your worst, AEW will still treat you as your best. You know, small thing is a good and a bad thing. I feel like some people don't work as hard as they should, but they're getting paid full time, 100% and stuff like that. So sometimes people hit a ceiling and they're getting paid for it. And I'm going to say this too. If you want to be like that, that's definitely fine. If you feel like you know your position in wrestling and stuff like that, that's definitely fine, right? To me, there's no problem. But still, if you have a room to improve, by all means, improve. But some people just want to make money, and I can't be mad at that situation. You get what I'm saying? But that's just one of those things as well. Man, I wish I could see these comments. Like, I don't even know what happened. Like, as soon as I got off the phone, it went back to this. It just said reconnecting. But still, because I know it was some other things that I wanted to speak about, especially from what Sim was speaking about. But I do think that they do bank on some of the younger talent more than WWE. WWE banks on main eventers and people who makes the money and stuff. You know, dang, I just had a point. But yeah, I think the younger people, they do have like opportunities to show that they can wrestle and go against some of these guys that are Hall of Famers and stuff. I know that Booker T, he made a comment saying like AEW is a good spot for like retired wrestlers to go to make money. And it's just like, you know, as much as I love this Booker T, I do kind of disagree with that. You know, I do think like a lot of the younger people, you have a better opportunity at AEW to shine. You know, some of these older wrestlers and stuff like that, obviously they are wrestling there and they're getting opportunities and stuff like that. But still, I do think that, like, honestly, it's still for young people. I do wish the young people do like a lot better than what they're doing with certain situations. You know, I think a lot of people, they did put AEW up on this pedestal, and some people still put them on there because a lot of people consider that WWE's product is unbearable, right? And like I said, they have their moments where people are giving them praise more than WWE. For example, a lot of people said they enjoyed Blood and Guts. A lot of people said they enjoyed. Thank you. A lot of people said they enjoyed Blood and Guts, both matches, more than the War Games matches. And like I said, I didn't watch neither one, so I can't sit there and say, "Oh, you just saying it to say it." Now, if I did watch them and I felt that way, you guys know that I would say that kind of stuff. But I can't say it, so that's something in itself too, because War Games is supposed to be this very, very important cage match, it's not elimination, cage match style. But then for them to have a blood and guts match where somebody's going to be bleeding and all of that stuff, and people can say, okay, well, this was a lot better than what WWE was playing. That's something to say, right? I think more people talked about the blood and guts match in a positive light more than they spoke of negative, like they're doing with the War Games matches. So like I said, it has its pockets and it does have its promises and stuff like that. And like I said, I do like the fact that, you know, some people have an opportunity to get paid buku money, buku dollars, buku bucks. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say this to the new people. If I don't see your comments because something happened with my phone, so please forgive me, because I know somebody finally like, man, why is he not saying nothing? Why is he not reading the comments? But that's where we at now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. But still. So like AEW does have certain things. I think that WWE does a lot of better things, but I also think that AEW does good things. They do things that are better than AEW. Like I said before, I'm about to head out. It's like, you know, I do think that they give more rewards to the wrestlers as far as belts and opportunities and stuff. And I do feel like wrestlers have an opportunity to show how creative they can be. Hey, why don't I change this character? Or why don't I stay the same and stuff like that? Why don't I do that? And I think that Tony doesn't have a problem with that or whatever like that. So hopefully they can be just consistently consistent with certain things, and hopefully they'll just continue to grow. But in the comments, let me know, what else does AEW do better than WWE? Let me know, and we'll talk about it in the comments. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.